of a sudden having the show going live right when you don't have anything ready to say. It's just
Yeah, really.
oh
Oh,
fuck.
wait a minute. I forgot to get ready for this episode.
We just are waiting for you to.
How are you doing that?
He actually went back into
Snapchat
time.
filters.
Joe through history went back
How are
into
you
time.
using the Snapchat? That.
Or it could be the StreamYard filters.
You never heard of cosplay?
He actually went back into time and got casted as the Mandalorian. Go back and check the show. He's now in the ending credits.
Do you want to see something even more amazing? You guys want to know what's really under the mask all this time?
We watched the episode last.
It's grotesque.
That was a lot of CGI. I'll show you what it looks like without all the blood. Ready? Really?
No wonder he kept getting all the girls. Man, that one farm girl was all ready to jump him for that. That makes so much more sense now.
But it turned out to be his sister.
Classic Star Wars.
So why are we here?
Fun's over.
Now go back to
know.
go to it. Go back.
Good night,
to
everybody.
I got to give you.
the mask. Go back to the mask.
No, wait. Let me see you with my own eyes.
We're making all those jokes. That actually is something I want to bring up later when we start talking. I know we're going to go through every episode, or we're just going to go through the whole thing in general.
I really don't see a need to go episode by episode. Do you?
Okay.
I think that's overkill.
I think we should talk about the latest episode and then just kind of reflect back on the season, how we felt about it. Because in my case, I certainly wasn't really as hyped as others about this. I had the bar set low, and my expectations exceeded. So,
yes, I think we can all say that it exceeded our expectations.
What was the Moff's name?
Gideon.
Gideon.
I liked him. I just started watching the episode again. And
We never actually learned Werner Herzog's actual name in the show.
No, he was just always referred in all the promotional
client.
materials. Yeah, the client.
Yeah.
Well, like the child.
And he's like, well, that's obviously a mystery yet to come. I mean, there's a reason for that. This is just like, hey, it's the old Imperial with the big Imperial medallion hanging from his neck.
I love the fact how they addressed the. I remember when I finished the previous episode, I was like, why did they gun him down? And that's exactly what they were talking about at the beginning of the show, like a couple of fanboys. The first 3 minutes of that last episode could have been a short film unto itself, and that would have sold.
Oh, that was my favorite part of the whole series. Oh, the whole thing.
You enjoyed when they punched the child multiple times?
Oh, yes. I really liked that. No, I just enjoyed the Stormtrooper banter.
The Stormtrooper banter.
Shoot the can and missing the can. And they're like looking at the blaster like, huh.
That killed me. That was just so subtle.
Yeah, he's shaking the gun like, there's something wrong with this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like that was funny and all, but man, did I feel uncomfortable with them punching the child like that.
I think
didn't for some reason. I thought it was funny.
That was beautiful. That was. I had no complaints with any of that. It's like, are you doing well? He just gunned down a sergeant for interrupting him. It's like how they all know that all the Moffs are batshit crazy.
Well, and anyone that's worked anywhere near Vader is used to that.
Exactly.
It's not their time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of so normalized. Like, dude, he killed half our squad just to make a point. Yeah, I know. It
That's what they do.
I love how they made the Death Troopers were no joke, man. The Death Troopers
hey,
they
Winston.
were there. They were.
Look, Winston's here.
Yay.
Okay, let's talk about let's do a quick breakdown of the troopers. They sell. They get us to buy the toys.
Definitely.
And
except
of course,
the speeder riders.
Well, God, my speeder bike just went up about $50 in value.
It's selling on Amazon for $115 right now.
But I mean, that particular scene, they went through so many stormtroopers in every which way. I mean, the fact that flame trooper that came through at the end wasn't just a flame trooper; it was a flame trooper in shock trooper paint job. I mean, I don't know if you guys read about it, but they actually couldn't get like official costumes from LucasArts to film all this. A
I
good
read about
portion
that.
of all those guys are 501st Legion.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So, I mean, it's just like on so many levels how awesome that was. But it's like the fact that gave us like all these people who like to troop build and customize and things like that. It's like, have some gold. This is what you've been wanting. You're going to get that. It was like,
Yep. You are now featured on screen. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, the 501st Legion is a collection of cosplayers, basically, that you can't join the Legion unless you have very specific quality standards for your outfit. They have to be approved and they have to be reviewed. Anything you submit or you're going to wear. So it all is held to a high standard. But it's all independent folks that make their own costumes and cosplay outfits. And they just joined this group that was Jon Favreau approached and said, hey, guys, basically, we need to keep costs down. Do y'all want to be on film? And I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't jump at that.
Were they part of the people that got their helmets bashed in?
I mean, I would have that signed by the director and keep it forever if someone bashed my helmet in. We should also point out it's in the title, but this is going to be spoiler heavy for the whole season. So if anybody's watching right now that hasn't seen it, that doesn't want to be spoiled, go away. Or just, leave us on in the background so we have the views.
Or what you should do is
give us a
get
like.
your trial of Disney Plus and binge the show and then come back and watch this.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the free trial and you want Disney Plus, hit up Zero in his DMs and he'll hook you up with his logon.
On my logon.
Yeah, if you have Verizon, you get a whole year for free.
Yeah, that's pretty damn nice of Verizon, with all that money they steal from us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if you're an Android user, but there's other things about that.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that.
It's funny, Joe, watching you drink that with the helmet on. That's exactly how I imagine him eating and drinking. He just sips it underneath
With a straw.
his outfit.
Crams it up there.
He just crams it up there. Yep.
I actually like having this helmet on because I don't have to worry about making weird facial expressions. I think I dig being a Mandalorian.
Well,
this is the way.
It's not a race. It's a creed.
It is a creed.
An Apollo creed?
No, well, he was in that too. IT. I mean, there's so many things that this show brought in that.
IT.
Oh.
I mean, we got some great characters. We got seeing an IG unit kick some serious ass. I don't know who was the bigger I don't know who was a bigger unsung hero, IG-11 or Quinn.
Quill.
IG-11 was damn near like MacGuffin level of a character because he just comes in on that speeder. He can't miss. It's like he had aimbot on.
Well, he had
like is an aimbot. Like that's what he is.
He is an aimbot.
And also, too, IG-11 takes. You saw IG-88 in The Empire Strikes Back, who is very literally a pile of junk. When they build him, they put pieces of everything together for this.
Part of the bar from the cantina.
He was just a statue in Empire Strikes Back of junk, and this shows how they took that and made it into something that you believe is a killer. And an assassin.
I like when he was walking around; they made it look like stop motion.
Yes, it was very janky.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention that, like, if I was a kid watching that, he would scare the crap out of me. But as an adult, I love the way that looks.
Yeah, it's kind of Grudge, wasn't it? Like a little bit of that kind of like modern horror movie stop-go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plus the voice. I mean,
well, that's Taika Waititi. You know.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. First of all, the last episode, you got the freaking director of Thor, and it's written by a guy who wrote Iron Man. What more do you need for geektacularness?
Well, I mean, he also directed the episode.
That's right. No, Favreau wrote the episode.
Yes.
And it was directed by the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok. I mean, just saying, it was like that was, everything we loved about Marvel was like right. Our highlights of the Marvel movies was right there.
Speaking of Favreau, has he failed at anything yet?
He was in Daredevil.
I mean, his earlier stuff didn't really take off too. I think he did. Now it's a movie I like with Jeremy Piven, PCU.
Yes, I love that movie.
I can't remember if he directed that or not.
Didn't he also write or direct Elf?
He directed Elf.
Yeah,
he directed Elf.
Yeah,
and then actually, the live action Jungle Book didn't do that well.
It still did well enough.
But it was an excellent movie, though. I really liked that.
It was good.
No, Favreau wasn't in PCU. What was he in?
No, did he direct PCU? That was the question.
No, he didn't.
I said he was in Daredevil. He played Foggy Nelson.
But that was a good part of that movie. He played a good Foggy.
Clearly,
he was in Friends too. If anybody remembers that.
Ben Affleck, come on.
No, he was in PCU.
Yeah, he was the character, kind of the stoner idiot.
He was also in Rudy.
You know what? He directed the first episode of The Orville, and nobody liked it. And every episode after that episode was better.
So that brings us all way down, Dave. Thanks. Yeah, he sucks now.
You asked me for something. You asked for something he wasn't good at. He directed the first episode of The Orville, and it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the rest of the show is.
So, did anybody here that watched The Mandalorian with their spouse and or significant other? Did anybody, you or them, gasp when audibly gasp when the baby was struck?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just
curious.
Oh, Dave, answer your question. Cowboys and aliens.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's a bomb.
Ooh.
But that kind of goes to show when you have Roberto Orsi and Alex Kurtzman writing anything.
Yeah, those two need to go away.
Kurtzman helped Transformers Prime.
The funny thing about hitting the Baby Yoda though was the actors, I guess, which were SNL actors that played those troopers.
Yeah, two comedians.
They are now being constantly harassed online for hitting Baby Yoda.
That's because people don't know how to deal with anything.
It's like the next season of the show, anyone in the script that reads like, "Oh, I have to hit the baby," no, not doing it.
Yes, but do you know how many speeder bike cosplayers now are trying to find a satchel they can put a Baby Yoda in with they put bruises on it?
Bro. How if they can't separate reality from the show, how did they even find out who the actors were?
Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts. They're doing that on purpose.
It's like people that harass Kelly Marie, what's her name, Tran, from the last two movies. That's you guys. I mean, people got to chill the fuck out. I mean,
this is a good point. Can't believe people are upset about a stormtrooper being a stormtrooper.
Yeah, I mean, at least he hit the bag when he punched at it.
They're the bad guys. I mean, they're not the saviors of the universe. Okay, so here's one thing. I was actually just talking about this with the missus before we got on the show.
Go on.
And I know I kind of mentioned it in our private chat. I do not think they should have put his face on camera.
I was okay with it.
I don't think they should have either.
I think the whole time when the helmet came off, the camera should have almost gone to his first-person perspective. I think his face should eventually be shown on the show, but I think when it's done, it should be when everybody sees it, like all the rest of the cast see it.
I think the thing is, you can see him as a child.
Yes.
Right? And they do the flashback, and that flashback builds up to why he's afraid of droids. And I thought that it was very fitting that you see his face. The first time you see his face as a child, he's like being almost gunned down by a battle droid. And then it's a droid that ultimately unmasks him that wins his trust. I thought that was actually very fitting.
Yes.
No, I agree that the droid should have taken off the helmet. I don't think his face should have been on camera. I think the camera should have been going over the shoulder.
I mean,
that's where I was just saying. I think it kind of took a little of the allure.
I don't think that there was any allure when you know who the actor is.
I know.
But I'm glad they didn't go for any kind of crazy face prosthetics. They took off his helmet and oh look, it's Pedro Pascal. You knew exactly what he looked like. There was no mystery there.
I think it was good in the sense it showed how vulnerable he was. I mean, honestly, because the show's called The Mandalorian, it doesn't specify. I thought there was a chance he might have died.
Yes,
and I thought that the armor might have taken up the mantle.
Yeah, I thought he was going to die too.
I thought he was.
Which goes to show that how well this show kind of led you down that path and that believability there that you knew, like any other show, you're like, well, the main character's obviously not going to die. But the way they have the show built around him, this faceless man with no name kind of thing through most of it, you absolutely could believe that it could pass to someone else.
And this day of Game of Thrones, and Quill, but
they could do a Red Dead Redemption.
I mean, this episode, you find out his name. You find out, the fact that this Moff has everything on him. Why not, expose his face? Because I think that's the thing, though. It's like kind of expected. You get 8 episodes in, you haven't seen his face other than flashbacks. And
I'm with 30 on this one. 30 is saying exactly what I was talking about. So can I get this guy? Yes, thank you. 30 tricks. You and I, we're not always eye to eye. So if I'm calling you out on this one, that's a good call.
I kind of feel like they said, here's his face. Now let's move on from that. There's lots of show to talk about. We don't, this is a thing that we don't want that to be the conversation. I think we would have built up more mystique around it than there maybe should have been. So they said, here's his face. It's still within the creed because no living human saw it. And then we can move the hell on and not worry about it.
Right, but we saw it. We saw it.
We did. Yeah. Right. And he didn't wink at the camera.
I'm totally going to report him to HR.
It's 2019, and ever since those Iron Man or Marvel movies started getting popular, everybody has their face on the camera, regardless of whether they're a superhero or not. They have to have their face, apparently. Like Spider-Man takes his mask off so many times.
Yeah.
But typically he wouldn't do that.
Okay. Let's talk about her. Emily Swallow.
I have one comment about the Forge Woman real quick. And that the funny part is like when Moff Gideon says his real name and he has that flashback and he's like, I haven't heard my real name in years. And then when they're down there, the Forge Woman's like, here, take care of the baby. And then says his name. I'm like, I thought you just said it. Like, what are the odds that they just said that? And now all of a sudden she's calling you by name. I thought that was weird. Like, you said you haven't heard.
But she also swore him to being the child's father.
Sure. Yeah. It's just odd that he says that he's not heard his name in decades, and now he's heard it twice from 2 different sources back to back in 5 minutes of each other.
Well, what happened?
Some major shit went down.
Yeah, because when you see the fact that either Mandalorians have been killed or they've abandoned their creed. Yeah. And she was one of the few that didn't abandon post. Over the Imperial occupancy.
And she kicked some ass.
Yeah,
she did.
She not only was
Sabine,
I think that's busting them up. There was chunks of plastic flying everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's the first time you've actually seen a helmet crumble from an impact.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That was satisfying.
I want to, since we're talking about her, I do want to talk about, again, I mentioned this in chat. This did a very good job of strong female characters without actually feeling like social justice warriors, strong female characters,
Yeah.
They just, here's this character happens to be kicking ass and happens to be female. She's not
That's the way to do it.
That's saying that you have to completely applaud that. I mean, Cara Dune, holy shit, man, that's shock trooper.
Although, let's be honest, she could have smiled more.
I mean, what the hell did you have to smile about?
A big gun.
Her home planet was Alderaan, for Christ's sake. Like, she doesn't have a whole lot to smile about anymore.
But you know what? Alderaan, the unemployment level,
it did go down significantly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the homeless level?
Yeah.
That's right.
It just yeah, that's true. The job market blew up overnight.
I think Cara is a great character. I think that they've done a good job of making a character that's believable. She looks like she's actually seen some action. She's built for being a soldier,
and she's hot.
Yeah,
she was all full Starship Troopers vibe. I could.
Yeah.
Every comment in my review for her toy, every single comment talked about how thick she is. I'm like, I can't believe every comment.
But back to her character, I like the fact that there's a little bit of levity to her.
I mean, we know she's well developed.
I like the fact that she's not like just like ultra like gruff and dark and I've seen some stuff. She's not like Gears of War.
They're real people. They're believable people. They're not 100% either direction.
Even the speeder bike guys are real people.
Yeah.
But they get mercilessly murdered.
I say, like, series wise, the only characters that I thought weren't believable because they were so fucking hammy were the Twi'lek siblings.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
And that's funny.
And even that wasn't bad, and at least as far as this series goes. I don't think it was bad.
If that episode's the low point of the series, that's not a bad low point at all.
Right. I mean, I don't think anybody here can argue that the scene where he's stalking the crew in the second half of that episode wasn't just fucking gold.
That episode wasn't the low point of the series.
Okay. Well, that's actually that'll be a good topic after you finish that.
I just thought that those two actors were the worst actors because they basically, and don't get me wrong, I love TNG, right? And I love Deep Space Nine, but those two Twi'lek siblings seemed like they came off of like the set of a 90s Trek TV show.
I was actually thinking more like Farscape, but I can see what you're talking about.
Maybe Farscape or Lex or what was that other one?
Babylon 5? No.
Babylon 5 tended to take itself a little bit more seriously.
Red Dwarf was too serious.
But, it's like I was thinking more Deep Space Nine because Deep Space Nine was like the aliens were so fucking hammy. Like I remember Odo constantly threatening to shapeshift and never actually doing it.
What's that show with the portal? It was like the Egyptian theme.
Stargate. Actually, I say they're more Stargatey.
We should probably weigh in on a debate going on in the chat there about Boba Fett being a useless character in Star Wars.
I agree. He was a useless character in Star Wars.
He did track and catch Han Solo.
Sort of.
How do you say sort of?
I mean, he was kind of there. I'm going to say he was useless.
He was like he actively tracked them and found him.
He brought the Empire to Cloud City.
Yes.
I can't remember what happened. Who actually caught him?
What would you guys say then is the low point of this? What would you say was the low point of the series?
I didn't hate the episode, but it's the one with the AT-AT.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
really?
The ATST. Yeah, it's not a bad episode. I just think it's the slowest paced. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like that episode.
Yeah, I did too.
Cara Dune was in it.
Yeah.
Episode 4. Episode 4 was. Yes, I know. Yeah, Emily Swallow. She's in Supernatural. We know. No. Lance Park said it was episode 4. Which episode was episode 4?
That's the one Zero's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say ATST. Are you saying ATST episode?
It's not the it's not the worst episode. I think it.
I don't think
got pacing issues.
Okay, as I said, I don't think anything was bad in this series by far. I'm just curious, what would you say is the low point?
The lowest.
I say the lowest point because I love the hype. I love the heist episode, and I like what it set up with like the outlaws and like I like seeing Bill Burr as a villain. I'm a big Bill Burr fan. I like seeing Clancy Brown and Richard Ayoade. Is it Ayoade? I hated that his droid got killed off. But I would say the lowest point of the series is the Twi'lek siblings.
Okay.
But the worst episode is episode 4, but it's not a bad episode. It just has pacing issues.
Not by far. I said I just want to know.
Right. The low here is not bad by any means. It's just, of all these great episodes, one has to be lesser than the
Joe,
the episode.
Okay.
Let's go to Joe.
It's kind of hard to think of a low point. I liked that episode.
Glad I'm not alone on this one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Actually, see, I was going to say it was the heist episode. Spoiler. I'll get to why for me, but.
And I think it's the one with the rookie. That was my least favorite, and I still loved it. Like I could still watch it over and over.
You know what? That's I'm going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that.
I would say that was probably the low point for me.
If only because it's, once again, classic Star Wars, where you have this compelling villain that gets killed off too fast. Because I think that, and she may not be dead, but Ming-Na's character
and it led to some sort of mystery that never got resolved.
Do you think that was Gideon?
That was I think that's a setup for season 2. One way.
Okay, I'm just saying we're gonna leave that. Okay, we'll leave it at that one. So
I think here's my thing on that, Dave. I think that wasn't part of the episode, and when they realized they were going to get picked up for season 2, that scene was added later before production wrapped, and then because they needed to sprinkle clues for the next season.
So Gunslinger for you, Heist for Zero. Still waiting on Joe. I'll come back to you,
I'm
Joe.
going to agree with Gunslinger.
Okay, I got 2 for Gunslinger. T-Man?
Low point is probably the one that you were talking with the rookie. His character was... Everything was so obvious and cheesy about his character.
Agreed.
But the episode I wouldn't watch again is the one where he fights the monster and for the egg. I probably wouldn't ever watch that episode again.
I love that one.
That one proved that he is not John Wick, but this guy's infallible. I mean, not infallible. This guy can make mistakes. I mean, the least amount of kicked him off the sandcrawler.
I love seeing the Jawas in action. I loved the interactions with Quill. I loved when you see the child use the power for the first time.
And it confused. That was awesome.
And then I just kind of I loved the fact that the egg was nothing other than food for them. Like that revelation. It was
what? Talking about the Force real quick. Don't you think that the Force at this point in Star Wars should have been more well known instead of just alluding to, oh yeah, I've heard of some space wizards that can move things with their mind.
But the galaxy is a big place.
That's exactly it. And
the galaxy is a big place. A lot of shit has happened.
I know, but the Empire controlled the news
long ago.
Yeah, the Empire controlled the information. And remember, he pretty much spent his entire life just training to be a warrior in a small, secluded area. So he was cut off from the rest.
No, not just him. The other people, the other characters were like, "Oh, yeah, I've kind of like." What was it?
Carl Weathers' character.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've kind of heard of that." Like, dude, that dude's been around. He's old enough to know.
Yeah,
like he could have known the history.
Yeah,
but again, we're on the outer rim here.
Yeah, and also if you go to
telling me they don't have news?
Internet.
They have holograms that can be sent through light years.
But you realize for years after Return of the Jedi, there were still people in the galaxy that thought that it was the Rebellion's Death Star was destroyed by the Empire, the heroic Empire. That was the propaganda. Like
Luke didn't know about the Force.
If people are moving shit with their minds, that kind of news. You'd be like, yo, I was just on another planet.
He just said it right there. Luke didn't know about the Force. There was pretty much the Jedi were down to a handful that pretty much it was Vader, Palpatine, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and
whatever random survivors they want to throw in for video games and such.
If you go back to like the old Legends canon, right, the expanded universe, if you go to that, the fictional events, I hate saying fictional, well they are, it's all fictional, but the stuff that happened after Return of the Jedi in the expanded universe was like Luke's Jedi Order. He wanted the Jedi to be more involved with the people, versus the old Jedi, where they were really only brought in to solve crises. So they were basically like a task force. If you think about it, like in the Marvel universe, like not everybody knows about superpowers until the Avengers show up. That sort of thing.
Yeah, when we're watching the movies, we're involved with the people that have the powers, where the 99% of the rest of the galaxy is nowhere involved with any of this stuff.
Yeah, everybody haven't seen Darth Vader in person killing people.
Right, that's why he was such a myth, is because if you weren't there with him, you didn't know about him.
Yeah, but we see how technology is now. We all have cell phones, and as soon as like a cop beats somebody up or shoots somebody, it's on video and it's on Facebook. It's everywhere.
Right, but this is the Empire.
Everybody knows about that the Mandalorian defected, and everybody got the news about that.
Yeah. So it's like we're getting to a point though where like you can post stuff on Facebook now and information moves freely, but they're constantly working on algorithms to in real time censor things that people are trying to post. And you could think that society could get so advanced that people can no longer freely share information publicly.
And like you said, T, though, we're getting
disbelief.
Right, and like T said, everybody knew that the Mandalorian was turned against them, but that was because that was that group of people that we were involved with, like the ones that would be notified.
They were all in the guild.
Yeah, it was all the guild members.
Apparently, Mando did not know about the Mandalorians having a history with the Jedi.
It seems not, right?
It seems they do not teach that history to all the members.
So the group of Mandalorians that rescued him was actually I believe it's the Death Watch, which was that clan, which was, if I'm remembering correctly, the Mandalorians went like pacifist for a while, and it was certain sects that wanted to kind of go back to their warrior ways, and that was one that was kind of a brutal sect of Mandalorians that discovered him. So that's why he's on the warrior path now. And why the Mandalore was taken over by the Empire, and events that we haven't seen yet. What do they call it? Something of 1,000 Tears, the Night of 1,000 Tears. Mm-hmm. We don't know about that yet, but I think the new season of the Clone Wars coming up is actually going to explore that, but I'm not sure about that.
Well, I'm hoping actually the new season they'll bring in Gideon will be in that, because
mentioned, or featured,
Well, because he happens to have something that the Mandalorians might want.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! I mean, I had a fanboy squeal at that when I first saw the blade pop out. I actually thought it was a vibro blade.
Vibro blade, yeah, so did I.
And then I'm like, wait, hold on, that is not.
Yeah, when you see it, like it's kind of rotoscoped.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's a glowing black lightsaber. Oh, I have that moment.
They should call that a dark saber.
Nope, too racist.
One very dumb detail I absolutely loved was the TIE fighter landing sequence.
Yeah. How cool is that?
I mean, when you saw the stills, I thought he had like some special TIE fighter that had like an X-wing thing that was just like in mid, but I absolutely thought that was brilliant.
It like a no-brainer thing. Like someone was like, "Hey, why don't we do this so it'd be easier to get out of the ship when it lands?" Duh. Because I always wondered that. Why do they shape the TIE fighters like that? And they really can't like land on those two little precarious little things. And then when you have to get out of the thing, you have to jump 10 feet down to the ground.
Well, that's how they've always landed. But we've never actually seen a pilot dismount from a TIE fighter. But we know that before this particular TIE fighter, they've always landed just on their struts, just like no moving parts.
And they're called TIE fighters because they look like bow ties.
Bow tie fighters.
No, they're twin ion engine.
That was retro done. That it had to been retro dyed.
Yeah.
I just split the frickin' stand port on this thing.
You split it?
Yes, I don't think it's supposed to have a stand port. When I put it in there, it's split.
You're an innovator.
So you're saying you shoved something where it shouldn't have been shoved?
Yeah.
He felt resistance and he plowed forward.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Just like his pictures he took earlier today.
Ooh.
They pretty naughty.
But so we got that. So okay, for me, just because with my topic on there, my least favorite episode, what I thought was the weakest was the heist episode, just because it felt so out of tone to the rest of the show. Again, I thought it was a very good episode. I love, as you mentioned before, the stalking of the crew.
Yeah.
Though I honestly thought he was going to use lethal force on them, but because he had no problem using lethal force on other people. So I thought that was interesting. He had them living.
Right, but I got the sense that there was a history there, that maybe he was respecting something from before. These guys, part of his crew.
Yeah, except for Bill Burr's character. He should have freaking... But
also, how crazy is this that we've had all of these movies that have, we've got 3 movies that take place after the fall of the Empire. Only one of them really do we have the New Republic. But this is the first time we've seen anything New Republic in action. This is the first time we've ever seen a New Republic ship. This is the first time we've ever seen New Republic officers, New Republic droids. We've never seen from this current government. Like, this is it. And then, what happens?
And they're completely ineffective.
True. But that also, it goes a lot for story building, because that ship, this prison ship with these heinous criminals on it, only have one human on it, or one life form on it. And the rest are these New Republic battle droids that were modeled after the old Separatist battle droids because they're so understaffed, because they're spread so thin. I love that. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, look, they don't even have enough people to man their fucking prison ships.
So but again, for me, that was my low episode.
T, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
He's mid nose pick sideways. There you go.
Now I think one of the things I've had is I've always had the TV show almost felt like we were watching a video game playthrough.
Yep.
I mean, when he would get his armor pieces, that was him leveling up.
Yeah.
The egg thing, it was like his ship got disassembled. He has to solve the quest to get the ship parts back. It was very.
Then he got his missile upgrades.
Exactly.
Shit, what were they called? I can't remember.
Stinging birds.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, she's like,
and the jetpack at the end too.
Yeah, yes. And then he got the jetpack upgrade.
He's like, here you go.
The way he landed with the jetpack after taking out the TIE fighter, I like that. I expected him to fall on his ass.
Yes.
Because he is not. He is also. Yeah, he is no Deus Ex Machina. He is no. Hi, don't you know who I am? He was
no Ray.
He was very fallible. I love that aspect. He would lose credibly, and he would win credibly.
The scene in the last episode where he rockets up to the TIE fighter and then attaches the cable to it, and he's pulling. I had this moment watching that, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing this on a TV show. I can't believe I'm seeing this right now.
In fact, he dropped the first bomb. He was fallible. Yeah. He it was like D&D. All right, I'm gonna take a skill check, and you snag the thing. All right, I'm gonna hit the bomb on there. Do a dexterity check. You failed your dexterity check. Okay, I'm gonna pop another action and do another one. I mean, that felt so gamer. I was loving it.
And Gideon's reaction to it is like he wasn't this stoic like Imperial. He's like, oh shit, at that moment.
Him not having a scratch when he got off of there, I didn't like that part.
Well, if you want him to have a scratch, watch Breaking Bad.
They have really good space airbags.
Super good.
I think he should have been
fill up with that stuff from what's that movie with
the
Wesley Snipes? Yeah.
Demolition Man.
Yes, with the foam.
I do think he should have come out scarred, just because I know it's a very generic villain trope, but I think he should have come out missing an eye.
Penis. We don't know.
He might have what?
He may have lost his penis. We don't know. There's some scars you don't see on the outside.
Yeah,
he might have did that already, and that's why he's such a jerk.
Yeah, just playing with the Darksaber. He's like, damn it. I mean, if you hang it from your belt and you don't know what you're doing with it,
Vader makes it look so easy.
Right.
When he was calling them out in the beginning, I love that part. I was like, he knows everything.
Oh, by their full names, yeah.
Instant character development.
Well, I like how Giancarlo Esposito is just like he's such a commanding force for just such a, what's the word for inauspicious guy.
He is so unlikable, the characters that he plays.
No, I thought he was very likable as Gus. I thought he was very likable because, like, before Gus shows his true colors in Breaking Bad, he comes off as like very kindly and
that is true.
You think really,
then he becomes the arrogant asshole that you just want to punch in the face.
But at the same time, Walt was becoming that. Like they were foils to one another.
This is true. This is the way.
I'll get that far in that show one day.
You've never watched that show?
I'm almost the end of season 2.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I think I've only watched one episode.
So I'm not worried about spoilers, by the way. I realize I've had plenty of time, so fair game.
Yeah. Why are your guys' icons the same icon?
I don't know.
It's one of the selections I uploaded. Because this is the way.
Could have went with this.
I don't think we could have, no. So let's talk about the baby.
The little baby.
The little baby that's won over the world. Like, that could single-handedly save, could unite the world.
I want to see the baby.
I don't like babies.
But even a baby, what are they calling them? Tridactyls? A baby tridactyl?
Who said that?
That's what the fans have called the species for years, because of 3 toes. Okay. Or 3 fingers.
I haven't heard that.
Tridactyls.
Yeah.
Is it okay to call it Baby Yoda? I know a lot of people are getting upset. They're not Baby Yoda.
What else are you supposed to call it?
Child.
Oh, yeah.
You call it Baby Yaddle? That's stupid.
It's Baby Yoda.
The green thing.
The green thing.
The Mogwai.
Well, so we know it's not a clone, right?
Correct. I was about to say that. Yes, they've determined that.
Do we know it's not a clone?
Yes.
How do we know it's not a clone?
Because Quill has mentioned that he worked in the genetics lab or something like that, and he knew. It was in the second to last episode when they were forming the team. He was looking at it and saying,
"Yeah, he mentioned that it wasn't a clone."
Yeah, that's how he earned his freedom.
That's yes. Wherever he worked, he could recognize that, and it's basically the show's way of saying not a clone. It's a real baby. It's a natural born child.
Okay, so that leads us to the obvious question: who were the parents?
Emperor Palpatine.
Emperor Palpatine and a female Yoda. Got it on.
Yeah.
No, the midichlorians just did their thing again.
Midichlorians.
Yeah, after Anakin died, they had nowhere to hang out, so they're like, "Well, fuck it, let's just make a little green shit thing."
Actually, it's funny you say this.
50 years old.
He's actually the same age as Anakin.
Yes, right. 50 years old. That actually that predates all of the movies.
Someone
Actually,
pointed that one out.
May be the task of the Mandalorian right now is to get him back with his species. So there may be a bunch of them.
Yes.
And maybe he's the only one with the Force.
I feel like they're all probably Force sensitive.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
That's got to make school interesting.
It's funny because Bob Iger was during the interview. Bob Iger and Jon Favreau were emailing each other back and forth, and in one of the emails, he referred to it as Baby Yoda, and to Jon Favreau said to that, "We're not going to call it that. It has a name." So that means to me, and I guess Bob Iger knows what it is because he says he's nervous that he's going to say something that he shouldn't. So they're all sworn to secrecy. So that leads me to believe that at some point in season 2, we will be learning the name of the species. Now, my question is, does that bother anybody?
No.
I agree. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, and I want this species has had mystique and mystery for the entire run of the franchise. Like, I am fine with it having a little bit. It's hard to believe that while we keep saying it's a big galaxy, nobody knows what this thing is anywhere ever.
I wish that all fans acted like you, because there will be several people that's going to be pissed if it's not named the right thing.
And it's not it's just going to be a name, right? It's going to be the name of a species. There's not going to be anything earth-shattering about it. Like finding out the Mandalorian's name. It's just a Star Warsy name. It ultimately doesn't matter.
Here's the thing. You're talking about here. We'll adding this insane thing to the canon. I think after watching all 8, when you watch all 8 episodes of this, I think Star Wars fans right now have more faith in this team than they do in the actual movie teams.
Possibly. I mean, this is more universally accepted for sure.
I mean,
and I'm a huge fan of the sequel trilogy. So
I'm just,
I agree.
Okay, we get something this would be a jaw-dropping revelation, like Yoda's race, or even, dare I say, we find more Crimson Guards or more actual clones and things like that. Hell, dare I say, even bring back Boba Fett. People would accept it more in this than in an actual movie now.
I think because it's in good hands. I mean,
it's in great hands.
With this, I think, and again, Matt, I know you're a fan of the sequel trilogy. I think that they're more focused on building characters and building worlds than you could argue about space physics and the logic of things, but the thing about Star Wars is what's built in the world transcends the source material, and you have characters and you have dialogue and you have world building that all I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's space wizards, and you can say it's meant for kids. I always argue it's meant for a general audience, but when you have characters that are likable and are relatable in this material, you stop looking at the absurdity of it because they somehow make it believable.
That's true. Something to latch onto is what you're saying, like a familiar kind of like almost kindred spirit sometimes with some of these characters that you can relate to, even if it's a fantastical setting.
Watching the first movie again, I think that was made for kids, with the other one's general audience.
You mean New Hope?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was made for kids.
I mean, George Lucas has outright said it. The first one,
George Lucas has contradicted himself so many times.
I agree.
You know, and then whether you like Red Letter Media or not, you go to like Revenge of the Sith, and Revenge of the Sith is not made for children.
Oh, I didn't say that one. Just A New Hope.
You know, it's like, you know. Well, I'm just saying, like, to say Star Wars is for kids, and then you have a movie where a guy gets like a triple amputation. The main character gets a triple amputation, is burned alive. Yeah, that's for kids.
But there's also I think it's a little bit of dicing of words too, where you can say that A New Hope was made for kids, but enjoyed by all. That's to kind of the mincing here of words.
You know what?
He had intention.
Was the whole maybe it was made for kids, and that's why Obi-Wan, instead of actually being cut in half, like vanished. Maybe it was that their way of like avoiding the gore and the blood and guts.
Could be.
Yet you have the bloody arm amputation in the cantina with Doctor.
Oh, there's a counterpoint.
There's a whole severed.
Oh, and the dead skeleton.
Oh yeah, and the skeleton alive. That movie was not made for kids.
Well, kids had a lot more, stern spines back then. Like I remember when my uncle and aunt burned down right in front of me, and I was 4 years old.
Killing an entire planet.
But that's the sort of thing that's not relatable. Like it was just a picture of a planet blowing up. You don't feel that
from implied torture from a medical droid.
She was fine.
Yeah,
she was fine. She wasn't even if she wasn't even rattled by your planet exploding. She's not gonna be rattled by the droid touching her.
She was busy thinking like one day I'll be cashing a check for The Last Jedi, and I'll die of a cocaine and heroin overdose.
And they'll still go on to use her in the next movie because they filmed enough of her to go on. But anyway, The Mandalorian is a show that we were supposed to be talking about. To bring it back, how did you all feel about the Now I know we said that some of the lower points, more or less, were some of the filler episodes, and I say that they're filler. I feel like it's world building, and it's sort of the state of things right now in the Mandalorian's version of Star Wars. And also peppering out characters that can exist later. You know, it's just placing in interesting people that we can then revisit later. But the middle episodes, especially the one on Tatooine, how do you feel about the nostalgia element that was in the fan service part of that episode? Did that bother you, or is it not even a thing?
If there was an episode to have nostalgia, going back to Tatooine was exactly the way to do it.
But did you feel it? Some people felt, and again, this is the internet people, you didn't see the air quotes, but I did it, feel that throwing in too much of that is a bad thing. And this show thrives because that stuff isn't thrown in your face every 20 seconds.
I think they need to shit up.
It's actually, if anything, the Tatooine one, I think they held back.
Yeah.
I mean, because the cantina was pretty much deserted. You know, if they'd walked in there and the band was playing again and they redid the whole looking at all the various aliens and stuff, which you know what, by all rights, they could have done that. They could have actually completely redone that whole scene.
I can see pit droids back.
You see, cool. The pit droids that was...
They did show the douche sitting in the same spot
as Han.
And you know what, though? They should have had a little burn mark in the wall.
They never fixed it.
I would have given, you know what? 10. I give 10 geek.
I actually rewinded it because I was like, "Oh, I wonder if it's there." I rewinded it and watched it again. I'm like, "No, it wasn't there."
That would have been cool, but that was actually, I think, the appropriate amount of nostalgia because again, the bar was almost empty. The economy has gotten trashed since the Empire had left there. You know, old pit droids, that would actually make sense because it was a repair bay. So let's have some repair droids. And it's not like, I mean, they really could have crammed more stuff in there, but they didn't. I think they really held back.
I'm such a good Star Wars fan that I didn't even notice. All I heard was the backlash. I was like, oh, okay.
So
here's a question. Now, this is Mandalorian and sequel trilogy together. Well, this is all the Disney era of Star Wars. I think most fans, and this is a blanket statement, can agree that the animated stuff on TV was good, right? The Clone Wars and Rebels. Everybody can more or less agree on that.
Yeah.
That's seen it. Do you appreciate or think it's fan servicey to include the stuff that was established in those shows in the live action?
When Disney says it's canon, why not?
What to
I
say?
think they should do it.
So, for instance, like the Darksaber, Ahsoka in Rise of Skywalker, the Ghost in Rise of Skywalker, and Rogue One, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it adds value to it by not putting it in there. Devalues it kind of differentiates. Why should I watch these shows? Well, because they actually add to the lore, and it is the lore.
Because they added Dash Rendar ship to the special edition of A New Hope. They have not taken it out.
Right. That was prior to the Disney acquisition, though.
Yeah. It was prior to the Disney acquisition, but they still haven't edited it out.
Right. And then they added the Outrider to the Rise of Skywalker, or at least the same classification ship. We don't know if it's the Outrider, but I can't imagine it's not.
Dash Rendar.
Yeah, he was from Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire, yeah. And not only that, but I believe Prince Shizor's Black Sun was mentioned at some point.
Yeah, I mean, by that gives you honestly more reasons to want to watch these small things. They
sure.
Because I'm trying to find the right way of phrasing this. It's not just it's a cash grab. It's part of it. Look,
it's world building.
When you watch, I used to watch. I watched a lot of Doctor Who, but then they would do a spin-off show like Torchwood. But then the stuff from Torchwood would have an impact on Doctor Who.
Right?
That
like his hand.
Exactly. That was. You make I'm glad I watched it because it helped build that world. It expands that world. You read a Marvel comic book, and in an episode you read an issue of the Fantastic Four, and Doctor Doom blows up the Fantastic Four Plaza. Next week, you read an issue of Spider-Man, and he's going by there, and oh my gosh, there's all the rubble from the Fantastic Four Plaza because it's all in the same world. You want to get in there, and Disney should want us to want this because then we want the toys from that because it's all part of it all.
Right, and I guess I'm bringing that up because it seemed like Disney hasn't shied away from including that in world building on top of pre-existing things. Where Lucas, the prequels. And I could be wrong, someone can correct me, but I believe the prequels only used one thing from all the expanded universe, and that was the name of the capital planet Coruscant. The name Coruscant came from the expanded universe, and they used that. But I don't think there's anything else that he included. Again, I could be wrong, but that's the only thing I've ever noticed that came from the expanded universe.
Everything should be included because it's part of the same universe.
Well, and I'm not saying everything all the time, but I'm saying like Jake said, you can't ignore that they.
If it serves a purpose to the story that you're telling, then yeah. If it's just forced in there, then it doesn't.
Is that a Star Wars joke?
Get it the forward.
Matt, with you talk the expanding universe, did you read all the books?
Well, not all, but a good portion of them.
Did you ever read Legacy of the Force?
So, tell me the plot line.
You're assuming he can read.
That's the one where Darth Caedus.
Yes, I did read that.
That particular series pulled from everything. It had Lumia from the Marvel Comics.
Right.
It had, what's her name? That bounty hunter, Aaron Soon from the prequels. That particular one, in some ways, if you were the big geek, it pulled things from the Bounty Hunter trilogy. It pulled from all the EU, the Marvel, the Dark Horse, whatever. The fanfic some kid wrote when he was 8 years old in 1988, whatever. They could find it, they would put it in there.
Right.
When you get that feeling of payoff, it's like, hey, I saw that. It's like, I'm a fan. I got what they were going for. They acknowledge that people's passion is for that. So yes, by doing this.
And if you didn't know they existed, you're not worse off for it. Like it's just a detail that's in there that you didn't maybe totally understand. Just like people that saw the Darksaber on the last episode, they're like, "Well, that's a glowy sword," without knowing that it has any other function. But it didn't matter at the time. I'm sure it'll play a part later, but at least now you're like, "Hey, he cut his way out and he survived." That's all they took away from that.
And now,
I didn't know it was a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But now, how many people think are going to go back now and rewatch those episodes?
Right. And
actually, I'm so glad I bought Disney Plus. Now I can rewatch those episodes.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I have not seen all of Clone Wars or Rebels all the way through yet, which I need to.
All of it.
Neither have I, but guess what? I also have a little more incentive to find out what the heck's going on with that Darksaber.
Yeah. In fact, I even went on Amazon and bought a Sabine because I figured it might be important later. And her price, I got her for $15, and her price shot up to like $37 right now on Amazon.
I never could find a Sabine around here.
I sold her.
So just in case she might be important later, just like the Scout Troopers price shot up after that episode.
I do have this.
So let's talk.
Yes.
Where are they going to go season 2 and beyond with the story?
To Yodaran, whatever, to the home world, Yodaran.
Baby Yoda. All right, here's my theory. Talking about connecting all these other properties together. His mission now is to rejoin Baby Yoda with people of his kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what if the group or Cal Kestis himself is out there as an old man harboring some Jedi, and they find him and leave Baby Yoda in his care?
Where in the timeline is the Cal Kestis?
I haven't finished Fallen Order, so watch it. I'll leave the show quick.
No, man.
I don't know that.
Well, I just spoiled it.
Fallen Order takes place 5 years after the Jedi Purge.
Well, he would be an old man. He's young in that game.
No, so he's the same timeline. It's the same time.
No. Fallen Order takes place 5 years after Order 66.
Oh, Order 66. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Where Mandalorian's 5. Yeah. I'm totally wrong. I'm bowing out.
He would be really old. Maybe weren't what's his name again?
He wasn't Ginger.
Maybe he was him.
He could die.
No.
Maybe he just really wanted to see the baby.
Oh, that guy.
No.
You didn't use the Force.
What I would probably say for season 2, they're either going to go to Kesh, they're either going to go to Endor, or they're going to go to the Wookiee planet. That's my prediction.
I'd like to see an Ewok.
Oh, Baldwin. Tell you what, Matt. Starscream, Starscream, Starscream. There you go. Now give us our thumbs up.
Especially Legend Starscream.
Yeah, Starscream and Gator. There. Now thumbs up for us.
Hey, Baldwin, did you know this Ratchet figure is such a good figure? I'm so glad I got mine at TFCon.
Especially that particular one is made particularly well.
This one I had procured had most immaculate paint and the tightest
I heard
joints.
That was autographed by Extra Zero himself.
It was.
Joe, when you go, I want you to go back and watch parts of this episode and see that whenever you make a point and you put your head forward a little bit, your helmet turns sideways in a quizzical kind of look. And it's really that's amazing. In fact, from now on, that's what's going to be. You need to use that. This is the
one.
I need to actually make I need to make a
one of your own face.
Terrence and Phillips heads from South Park. They just go, hey, buddy, hey.
Yes.
But I digress.
We have started to do that.
I would be saying that Wookiee planet, because I can never say it right, Kashyyyk or whatever, Kashyyyk or Endor. That's going to be in the next. It's going to be in season 2.
Why those?
Cash grabs.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this again. You're talking about this pulling on nostalgia.
Grab.
This
you
is
said
play.
Pulling on. Oh God! If he goes to Kashyyyk for Life Day, I will freaking die.
Life Day was mentioned.
Life Day.
It's canon now.
What did Chewbacca actually?
I mean, Life Day was from episode 1, so
they mentioned Life Day in episode 1.
Yeah, that's what's his name? The bounty dude. You know, the weird little green alien that he caught the very first.
Greedo.
No. That first bounty he captured that he put under.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah. The blue dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 1 of Mandalorian, not episode 1 of Star Wars.
That's what I thought. I was like, that's what we're talking about. The Mandalorian. That's how it's canon now.
Right.
Yeah,
there have been chapters, right? Instead of
in episode 2, there was a callback to the holiday special with the Quill mentions the lizards that the Mandalorians ride. That was the
Thunder Beast.
Yeah, that was what Boba Fett was riding in the holiday special.
While he had the gun, the rifle, which is where that came from.
Right. But so I think that would be kind of cool, just going to one of those 2 planets, because that actually would make sense of also trying to track down Yoda's race. Because remember, Yoda was a friend of Chewbacca anyway.
Mm.
That actually makes a lot of sense now.
Can't Mando just like go on what's that thing called? What's that app where you find like people to clean your house and shit?
Tinder.
What? Tinder.
That's what I tell my wife.
Whatever. Okay, let's just use Tinder. Why can't he just go on Tinder and be like, yeah, I'm looking for some Jedi, some young hot Jedi. Gotta be some young hot space wizards out there. Oh, by the way, I got this kid. Here you go.
That would be cool going to the planet for Darth Maul.
Dathomir?
Yeah.
If you play Fallen Order.
You know what?
I did play that.
I'm not.
How do they clean their clothes on Star Wars?
Dry cleaning.
Cara Dune's been wearing that same outfit over and over.
Yeah, the most of it. Well, how about the inside of Mandalorian's helmet? That's got to be some stank, man.
It does smell pretty nasty in here.
Probably smells it like the tubes at Chuck E. Cheese circa 1991.
Ooh.
Lovely. So do we? Oh yeah, there you go. And you just wrote season 2, Lance. They'll be sending you your check momentarily, I'm sure. So, anything else we want to say, or
I want a Rancor in season 2.
We know we're getting Gamorreans, right? Everyone says we're getting Gamorrean guards. They're not all guards, motherfuckers. Like some of them are accountants. Okay, there's Gamorrean accountants out there too.
I want to see him. I want for them to fight a big thing since they fought the ATST. I want him to fight a Rancor.
The ATST, they took something that was nicknamed the Chicken Walker. That was this kind of ridiculous little thing next to an Imperial actual AT-AT Walker, AT-AT Walker. And they made it a fucking movie monster. It was brilliant. Like, they're like, hey, let's turn its eyes red and have this thing stalk through the woods. And it was amazing. Sorry, mini rant.
No, it was a praise. That wasn't a rant. That was a praise.
That makes sense, though. The red eyes make sense. Because if you want the interior of your walker to be well lit, but not too bright as to like be blinding or to draw too much attention, red would be the right color to choose.
And it looked intimidating as fuck.
And it looked intimidating.
Yeah. And it does look
intimidating. But it could illuminate the buttons and controls.
The Sith use red lightsabers.
Because they make their kyber crystals bleed.
Because they bleed their kyber crystals. Yes.
Yeah. Only 2 of us knew that.
I figured because it looks more evil, like the Decepticon's eyes.
That was the original, yeah.
Which is amazing because red usually doesn't film well.
When you rotoscope it, it does.
I was more making a Michael Bay rant. Why wasn't Ironhide red?
But brown.
I forgot all about that.
I'm a dork. It's what I do.
And then they had a red car later.
I know.
Yeah, right.
Dino.
So we got the ATST. That was looking great. Of course, we had the TIE fighters. So we got to see some good Imperial. Oh, the use of CGI in that show was very well done.
Minimal.
Oh, the Sandcrawler looked great. Yep. I know it was mentioned in the comments how awesome it was seeing the interior cab of a Sandcrawler and the fact that it was all Jawa scaled.
Yes.
And I actually think the show did justice to the Jawas. Yeah.
They made the off-world Jawa sound exactly like Minions.
Well, yeah, but it's more of also. I also like the fact, though, a pack of them actually is an intimidating thing. Like you said, a bunch of them did. The numbers game did work against a freaking Mandalorian.
Yeah, like bees, one's an annoyance, but a whole swarm of them can be a pain in the ass and do some damage.
So I think we could say it's a consensus. The Mandalorian is probably one of the best things that's happened for Star Wars in a positive light in a long time.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
it's true.
Where can we find everybody?
Yeah, I got to bow out anyway. So if we're gonna wrap, that's cool. If not, y'all can keep talking.
She's got the Duckwing.
I gotta bow out too.
She's got the Darkwing costume on.
Nega duck tonight.
All right, as for me, you can find me on Instagram as Extra Zero. You can find me on Twitter at The Original Zero, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live as Extra Zero, Extra Space Zero on Xbox Live. And, of course, you can find me here every Thursday night with these fine gentlemen.
Me too.
Yeah.
Ditto.
And when I'm not babysitting this little space brat here, you can also find me every Thursday night on Figure Action.
On Instagram, True Star Screamer. I put actually a very cool pic up last night of making that McFarlane Doom Trooper look good. So
you did. I really like your colorful backgrounds, by the way.
Pick them up at Walgreens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like wrapping paper or is it what is it?
Poster board. It's a gradient poster board.
Okay.
Oh yes, and of course, I did like the R2 fake out in episode 8 with the lava droid and the fact he turned into an even bigger robot.
Yes, the R2 with arms and legs is very odd to see.
Yeah,
very odd to see.
And quickly, a moment of silence for IG-11.
Oh yeah.
I call bullshit here that he resisted the liquid hot magma.
We all knew he was going to self-destruct at some point, but man,
he resisted it just for a minute. He was sparking up pretty bad.
Yeah, at the end when he came out of the opening, he was on fire pretty bad, as we all are when we leave the opening.
This is true.
Maybe he's made out of vibranium. You can find me on YouTube and here every Thursday, but mostly my own channel every day, damn near.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.